here for a lifetime underneath the moonlight. Cause I don't want us to go. No, I don't want us to go. Yeah, you could be my lifeline, you could be my sunshine. In a world so full of pain, can you make it go away? Used to be so sad that love was lost, but now it's here to stay. Yeah, I used to be uncomfortable, but look at me today. Never thought I'd find someone like you, someone to show the way. But now I know you're the answer to my prayer. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with us so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I'm sorry for the burden, sorry I was hurting, but my scars are almost healed. Yeah, my scars are almost healed. Yeah, I'm feeling like a child now. Everything's alright now, and it's all because of you. You made the flower in me bloom. Used to be afraid of everything, but now there's no more fear. Yeah, I used to let nobody in and hide my face with tears. But without of you as someone who can love someone like me, but I was wrong, baby, now I believe. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. I believe in you and me, you and me, you and me, you and me, yeah. You and me must be right. Something's in the air, I can feel it now. You and me must do something right. We can't get enough of us. You and me every night, aiming for the stars with the love so bright. You and me must do something right. Baby, I believe in us.
Welcome in, everybody. Three, two, one. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome to the Danae Show. I am Danielle Danea, aka Danae, and I've got a lot to say. So let's get into it. Football coach bans TikTok dances from players. Let's talk about it. So usually I cover news about Black people all the time, and I can speak all day to my people, and that's my main target audience. But I was like, you know what? I came across this story. I thought it was interesting. Usually I wouldn't be interested in stuff like this, in a story like this particularly, because it was just like, oh, who cares? Like, it's common sense. But there was so much behind the video. There was an article I read, and then I watched the video of him this coach actually saying what he believes to or wants to ban TikTok dances from his players. So that's why I'm covering it. I don't want Black people to think I'm just hounding them when we're talking about them. We got to mix it up a little bit. So this is me mixing it up, guys. So here it goes. So there's a football coach in West Virginia. His name is Rich Rodriguez. He's an American college football coach in West Virginia, like I said. and he is the head coach at West Virginia University. He is 61 years old, going on 62, and he has been head coach since year 2000, so 25 years he's been a head coach. And I came across this article on ESPN, and it was released on March 11th, so a couple days ago. And I think that it's stated that Mr. Rodriguez won't ban players from being on TikTok, because that was a big misunderstanding for a lot of people. They thought that he was banning his players from being on TikTok, period, because TikTok, mostly it's people dancing on TikTok. But he was like, no, I'm not banning them being on TikTok. I'm naive to think, super young players, most of these players are in their early 20s, right, that they're not on TikTok. Most young people are in general. So he's like, no, I'm not banning TikTok. I'm just banning them from doing those dances, right? And Coach Rodriguez further explains that he believes that dancing in tights isn't the image he wants for the program, which is understandable to me, but let's continue. He says the term hard edge, referring to the players looking tough or being tough. It's a certain image that the football players have, a hard edge, quote unquote, speak. He then continues and makes the point that everything today is about individuals and individualism, and that the basis of football is the complete opposite. It's literally called a football team. It's all about a team. It's all about working with one another and making sure we, use our skills in the best way in order to succeed, to win the game. So that was very factual also. So that's pretty much the basis of what he said. It was very short. Like I said, I watched the video clip. It was an interview question he had during a press interview. One of the press asked him this question. He didn't say anything wrong in my eyes. Obviously, only people that saw wrongness in this were, people on the left, leftists, liberals. So, yeah. But what was interesting for me, because like I said, just reading the story, I was like, it's not a big deal. It is what it is. Like I said, I don't think what he said was very controversial. It was me watching the video. Then after looking it up, I think I saw it on TMZ's Instagram page. And what was interesting about watching the video is you could obviously tell this coach, Rich Rodriguez, he was very careful about his wording when he was saying these things. Like when he was saying, dancing around in tights, it's not the image we want to show of the program. He really, he was like, this is not the community we want to portray. He was really wanting to say, guys, that, that community is, that type of behavior is for another community. And we all know, what community he was talking about, right? The FAG community, the, other community we know so well. So, yeah. It was very interesting watching him. It wasn't a hard struggle, but you could tell like he was really trying to be politically correct in his speech. He was delaying a little bit. He was looking down. I think he had a coffee cup. He was sipping it from time to time. Yeah. It was very interesting watching him in real time. And other people noticed that as well. You could tell he really wanted to say what he believed was factual and actually is. But, we live in different times nowadays, and he understood that. We all understand that. And even though we live in a freedom of speech country, there's certain things you just can't say. Even me, I'm learning every day. There's just certain things I can't say on YouTube. Like over here, I was about to say, thank God for my boyfriend. He warned me. He was like, you can't say this. Don't say this, or they're going to flag you. You don't want to be banned on YouTube. Not when you're in the stages of developing the way I am. So, yeah, we live in a world where you got to be very mindful, very careful of the things you're saying and how you're saying them. So I think it was actually genius the way he did it. I was laughing a little bit, and I wanted to be like, man, just say what you want to say with your whole chest. But I understand his position. I understand he really loves his job. He's been doing it for 20 plus years, 25 years. That's so admirable. That's a long time. I'm pretty sure, I don't know for a fact, that's longer than most coaches usually coach football. I never heard of a coach coaching that long in college. Usually and at one place for that long. Usually they transition or level up, so to speak, to another position or retire or whatever. So the fact that he's doing that clearly shows he has a love for the game. He was a former player himself. So, if he has to, he probably was like, if I have to, say stuff in a way that, my point is getting across, but I don't have to, say what I really want to say as hard as I want to say it, but that's fine. I'll just say what I need to say in order for people to get the gist of what I want to say. So I get it, but I also love that, I'm from Virginia, guys. Even though I live in Los Angeles now, I am from Virginia Beach. I've told you guys this in my earlier episodes. And one thing about the South, and even though I know we're considered the South because we were a slave state, and we're kind of in the South, but it's like there's states beneath us that are more in the South, so we don't really consider ourselves in the South. We're like, even if you look on the map, we're like mid. But the thing about, say like Virginia and then Georgia that is actually in the South, like the thing about us is we are very, how do I say this? Look, I'm trying to make sure I say my words carefully. We're not as acceptable to change as obviously like Los Angeles is, right? I lived here now. It's been here 6 years. I can speak to this. So when it comes to, people being more accepting of a certain community, being pushed to the forefront, Virginia, and even more southern states, like I mentioned, Georgia, we're not about to hop on that meme real quick. It's going to take a little bit longer for us to be more accepting of things that were like deemed to be not okay or not normal in prior years. So that was very interesting to see. I could tell, when I saw this guy was from West Virginia, it's so funny. Initially reading the article, I was just like, okay, this is interesting. Another football coach speaking, but when I specifically saw he was the coach of West Virginia, I was like, okay, yeah, it shows a little bit of his character, where his mindset was when he said this a little bit more. So yeah, that's just something I wanted to explain. In Virginia, we are very traditional when it comes to family, when it comes to our values, pretty much. So yeah, you could understand more of where he was coming from, because this is something he's known. Being 62, he's really had this, had this type of mindset, all his life. So now he's experiencing a world where people are more accepting to certain things that we were never accepting to. And, he's transitioning in a very, great way. Mostly a lot of older people or people that are so set in their ways, they don't want to change. It's hard to teach a old dog new tricks, right? But that's why I'm so much more admirable of this man, because, he could have been like, F this, I'm going to say this how I want to say it. This is what I've known. This is who I've been. I'm not going to change, even if it's for a sport I love. But no, he was very careful in his wording. He didn't say what he didn't believe. He said what he did believe. I have to respect him, because, he could have not said what he really wanted to say in a nice way. He could have just completely transitioned and said something he didn't believe to be true. Like, oh, it's okay to just dance around in your tights and be on TikTok because it's a new wave, It's a new generation. It's a new thing. But no, he was like, no, I don't think this to be true. I mean, I don't think this is to be acceptable. That's why I'm banning it. He's probably seen the outcomes of the kids doing the dances and doing them on TikTok, and saw they were more selfish and not focused on winning games and focused on being a teammate. And that's why he was like, oh, no, we're not doing this anymore, because he saw firsthand, what the TikTok dances, how they were affecting their minds, how they were affecting how they played. So yeah, and people that were outraged, the leftists, whoever, people that don't have open minds, didn't really think about that perspective. He probably just didn't ban it because he believes it's like not tough for a man to do. He probably, like I said, saw behavioral patterns that made him realize that this was detrimental to their growth when it comes to winning games and just growth as individuals in general. So, like I said, I 100% agree with what he said. There was no issue. I think I have some lessons to learn by the way he said these things. I struggle with, and I say this on my podcast a lot. I have no problem admitting it because I'm working on it every single day and I'm getting better every single day. Saying things in a way that would make people want to accept it more. And I speak to that a lot to other people because I want other people, especially my community, my Black community, to know that it's okay to believe a certain thing or have a value that's not popular, an unpopular opinion, but the way you communicate it matters more than what you're saying. It really does. And if you say it in a way, now there's some people, no matter how you say it, they're going to take offense to it or disagree or whatever. Those are the people I'm not talking about. Those are small-minded people that have a lot of growing up to do. I'm talking about maneuvering in the real world with people that, are successful and think for themselves and can communicate in a healthy manner. You have to be able to communicate in a healthy manner. You have to know how to say certain things without completely being too brash, so to speak, and also bringing it down in a way that people can relate. Right? Like, I think even it was genius in him, explaining that, the world is so selfish, and even though there's this whole community on TikTok and the world encourages individualism, even though there's so many people on TikTok, everybody is so focused on what they're putting out, how many likes they're getting, how many comments they're getting, how many shares they're getting, how much money they're making, as opposed to, doing things that are productive in real life, being a part of a community in real life, helping one another, grow in real life versus growing your following on Instagram or TikTok. So, a lot of people feel that way. And to throw that point out there, his coach throws that point out there after he says what he says to kind of get people to understand where he's coming from, because like I said, a lot of people agree with that, on the left and the right. Everybody is selfish. That's why we're struggling with dating. That's why we're struggling maneuvering in life, period. Because we're trying to do something that we weren't designed to do. We weren't meant to be by ourselves. God wouldn't have created Adam and Eve if it was just meant to be Adam, if it was just meant to be Eve in this world. So that's exactly what I'm talking about when you have to throw stuff in there behind your point you're making. That is something that people can understand and relate to when you're talking, because it makes, because people have their guard up. In any debate, in any conversation, any disagreement, when an opposing view is being thrown out there, and you're trying to defend your point. I really wish I took debate class in high school. This would be so much, I think I'd be so much further along when it comes to my debating skills. But anyway, I can imagine in a debating class, this was a lesson in there. When you have a point you're trying to make to somebody who already, wholeheartedly disagrees with you, you have to communicate to them. And I think this is something even lawyers kind of have to understand. I bet they do research on, or do some background checks, about their lawyer that is on the other side, the plaintiff or defendant or whatever, the lawyer, whichever one you want. You have to understand who it is you're speaking to, even though you're speaking kind of to the judge, who you're dealing with in the court. And you have to come from an understanding point of view, not just yours, because it's just going to come across as, like I said, more brash. They're not going to be able to relate or understand, so they're going to fully go hard on their point 10 times harder if they don't feel like they can understand you, or if they feel like you're not trying to be understanding. Another tactic is, saying like, I can see how that can be something, but this is what I believe. Even if the coach had thrown in there, like, okay, I can see how you may think it's fun. And like I said, it's part of a community, all these football players getting together on TikTok, dancing together. And you can see how that can be maybe seen as like bonding in some type of way. But this is what I believe. I've experienced this when it comes to TikTok dancing. They're not focused and da, 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 da. If you broke all that down as well, people will be like, okay, that's understandable. You know, how can you discredit somebody's experience? You know, especially if the numbers didn't lie. If he went and been like, this is how many games we won when all my players were on TikTok versus now when I'm cutting it off now, you know, now they're more focused. Now they're more interested in what I have to say. Now they're working together harder. Then people are going to be like, oh, okay, it is what it is. But this was brand new. Like, he's putting the ban out there, so he doesn't have the results as of yet to what's going to happen after he removes it. But I'm just trying to tell you guys what, you know, you should do in order to have people be more willing to accept a different point of view. And he did it very well in the short little time that he had with this interview, with this question. You know, I thought it was interesting because he got a few, like, there weren't a lot of comments under TMZ's posts on Instagram, which was very interesting. But, you know, there were, I think, there were other posts that people reposted and commented on. There wasn't as much backlash as I thought there was. Like I said, there were a few in there and a few leftist liberals in there, but I was like, and it just made me wonder, is this because I look at this man and he looks white to me, but with the last name Rodriguez, and I'm assuming he has some Latin descent in there. I was just wondering, if would this be so would people be not as outraged with maybe another race saying this, or I don't know, a woman saying this, because women are supposed to be understanding, women are supposed to be accepting, more willing to, you know, agree, right? More agreeable. Would it have been as understanding for other people when a woman said something like this, or like I said, another race? I don't know. And that just really was my question. Because even in this article, guys, I'm not going to pull it up for you guys. I just want to, because it's very, very short. Because even in this article, it says that in the beginning, West Virginia coach Rich Rodriguez, like all football coaches, wants his players to show up on time, work hard, and play their best. Oh, and another thing, don't dance on TikTok. Like, they made a joke out of it. Like, it was funny, but I don't know. I feel like if this was somebody else, somebody that is used to saying, you know, certain things that a lot of people don't agree with, or, you know, a lot of people feel like maybe it's like, it's crazy for you to say this. Da, da, da. I don't know if that would have been the headline. Making a joke out of it. It'd be like, oh, this person bans TikTok because they don't want their players to have fun. Something like that would have been the title. But I don't know. Is it because he has no history of, you know, saying things that are unique? Is it because he is of lighter skin? I don't know. Is it the way he said it? Back to how you communicate. The way he said it made people, you know, more understanding to what he said. So they're going to be nicer about, you know, what they say, because he was nice in kind of what he said. So all those questions were running through my head. I was like, oh, as I don't know. I really think if Dwayne Wade, pardon me, said the same thing about, you know, fellow basketball players dancing on TikTok. He's like, that's not happening. I don't know if he'd get the same response, just because Dwayne Wade, you know, he has history. He has a transitioning daughter that transitioned, or a son that transitioned. So with all that, you know, behind him, maybe, you know, that would be like, what the heck? I don't, like, what? Why are you saying this? Doesn't make any sense. But it might just be, and that's why I explained further as to why It's very important how you say things. It might be solely just because he was cute about it. He was sweet. He was laughing. You could tell he was trying to be polite, but he didn't do so in a way that, completely discredited what he really believes. He just, was really careful. When so many people, and that's admirable, when there's so many people out there to just say what they want to say and don't, think about how they're saying it and how it's coming across to others, and wonder why they're rejected by people in their own communities, people by other people in other communities. It's like, look at how you said that. Like, you guys know my podcast is all about truth, guys. I tell the truth. I give my perspective on things, what I believe to be true. I'm willing to be corrected, all that good stuff. But it's also very important, guys, to know there's a way to tell the truth and how to say the truth. I used to be a firm believer, and I try to, be behind it. If the truth is the truth, it doesn't matter how it's said. But in spaces like this, especially when you're in a public space, a public eye, pardon me, you gotta know how to speak to people, especially when you're telling the truth. Because people like to hear pretty lies over ugly truth every time. So you got to figure out a way to pretty up the truth to make people drawn to it. But again, not in a way where you're completely being hypocritical and saying something just to, get people to like you or accept you. What's most admirable about, again, this football coach, Rich Rodriguez, is he said what he said in a nice way, but he said what he fully believed. No, my players are not going to be dancing around on TikTok because we are the hard edge. It's so funny. I've never heard this quote before, so I might be misusing it, but I don't know what the word hard means. Hard edge, it means sharp. When you're referring to anything with a hard edge, it means hard, tough. And football players are known to be tough. But dancing around on TikTok, no one's going to think you're as tough as you may feel like you are. It's just facts. It softens you up, whether you believe it or not. Everybody thinks things are just cute and fun in the moment, but when it becomes a force of habits, like you have to do this before you go on a game, or you feel like if you don't do it, you're nobody, you didn't get the views, you didn't get the likes, it messes with your mental more than people will want to admit. And again, he saw something in it, guys. He didn't just pull this out of his butt or feel like, oh no, I'm from West Virginia. We knocked this stuff from the get. No, there was something, he allowed it to happen. He saw it was detrimental. It was like, no. If you see a problem, men's mindset, again, they're problem solvers. They see a problem that arises, they cut it out. They do what they got to do to solve the problem. And the problems only happened when they were on TikTok doing these dances. So that's why he's banning it. It wasn't a move solely based on stubbornness. It wasn't a move solely based, what I believe. Didn't look like to me. I can read character and body language very well. Except when it came to, President Zelensky, and I totally messed it up. And actually, I didn't really mess up on his body language. I didn't have the full context as to why, he definitely felt disrespected and stuff, but it was just like there was no reason for him to feel disrespected when he was initiating that disrespect. But anyway, no, I'm very good at reading body language, and this man doesn't give off like, oh, no, I'm going to believe what I believe because it's my ways, and I'm not going to be understanding to any new viewpoints. No, he probably, again, he saw something, he allowed it to happen for a little bit, and he was like, this is not helping us win games, so we need to cut it out. The focus is winning games. He said that toward the end of his answer. Yeah, you can't be selfish in a sport like this that relies on a team. Absolute truth in that. So yeah, he didn't want to be part of that detrimental push. 100% commendable. Something you can really say bad about that. Again, made sense to me. Initially, again, I thought he should have said it more with his chest, but sitting back and understanding what type of position he's in, how many people are looking at him, thinking it over, I think he actually did it in the best way, in a good way. And yeah, he was real about it. And the last thing he says toward the end, he was like, yo, look, again, relating to people and being more understanding and acknowledging that he knows, this stuff goes on. Again, at the end, he says that they, referring to the players, can do whatever you want years from now. But today, you're going to win. Like I said, he mentions winning games. And he mentioned smoking weed, all that. Again, getting a few laughs. Again, being relatable, because a lot of players, young players, smoke weed. A lot of people in general, but especially, athletes, to take the edge off, I assume. I'm not a big fan of smoking weed. I've done it a few times, but it does nothing for me. But, I understand why people do it. It takes you to another place. It can make you more relaxed. Not somebody like me who's always on edge, likes to be in control of the things I'm doing almost 100% of the time. But for players who have their adrenaline rushing as much as they do, they just want a nice break. It was understandable. So he throws that in there saying you can do what you want to do. If you want to smoke all the weed you want to years from now, that's cool. But right now you're going to be focused. You're going to be alert. You're going to be about the team. Again, no pushback on that. Yeah. So shout out to this coach, this football coach, and shout out him doing this for 25 years. This is insane. Shout out to that, for real. Yeah, I think that, people don't understand like how important it is to have men like this, not only, over a all male sport, but just, in the media speaking like this. Like the fact that this got so much media attention, and we thought, my boyfriend thought this was an NFL team. Now, this is a college team, and it got all the attention. It made it to DMZ because it's a rare instance where other football coaches would have been afraid to say what he said simply because they don't know if they would have been able to say it the way he would, or, they just, I don't know, didn't want to step on anybody's toes saying one thing and other people believing another. But this coach had the respect for his players, the balls, to go up and say this, answer this question in the best way possible to this interviewer in this press interview. We need men like this in our spaces, coaching our young boys in high school, middle school, elementary school. Do they have football teams in elementary school? I don't know about that. I'm sure like little league games, but even those, start as young as possible. Because we're in a world, like you said, that is so focused on selfishness, individualism, and have men telling them being masculine things are wrong, are toxic masculinity, major term used nowadays. It's like, no, this is a prime example of what masculinity is, and it's the furthest thing from toxic. It's actually the most healthy thing a young man can be. Respectful, but also stands for what they believe in. And for 25 years, this man, I could bet my life on it, has impacted so many young men coming out of West Virginia in the most positive way. So shout out to him. But I think the reason it went so viral again is because it's not seen enough. And it was respected, even though so many people disagree with it. Again, I said this in my previous video. You can have people not like you and things you said or say. But they're going to respect you when you move the way you move, when you move in a respectable way. And there was nothing but respect in this interview, in this answer with this coach, Rich Rodriguez. He didn't bash this other community while speaking about it. He's like, this is just not for our program. This is not the look I want. You do what you want to do. This is my team. It's going to go my way. But just know that I'm looking out for your kids, and I believe this to be best. The care factor was there. Too many people just stopped caring about men. They're like, oh, deal what you deal with, suck it up, feel how you want to feel, but they're invalid. Don't speak too much about your feelings because then you look like a woman. It's all these things, right? But no, this man spoke up, communicated how he felt, how he feels, but not in a female type way at all. I didn't get that at all. I'm sure nobody else did. I didn't see any comments saying like, oh, he sounds like he's complaining. He sounds like a woman. He didn't at all. The left couldn't even say that, make up that lie. Because it's so far from the truth. There's no trying to defend it. So we appreciate men like this. That's why I did this show on him today. Again, I said I wanted to mix it up, but I'm more than glad that I mixed it up with this, because this is what I want to see more of the Black community doing. I think there was a Black coach that was just hired to be a coach in I don't know if it was Virginia, Michael Vick. I think it's somewhere on the East Coast. I think it was Virginia, because I was like, oh my gosh. I reposted it and I was just like, oh, got lip gloss on the side of my mouth. I think it was like Norfolk State or something like that. It's crazy. He got that job and I was happy about it. I reposted it, but he has been mute ever since. And it's okay. He doesn't have to talk all the time. I get it. College football isn't, the NFL where they're constantly having cameras in their faces in the same manner. But I haven't heard nothing about this man ever since he got the position. And that was a little while ago. For just one thing, if I'm going to hear about something you do, I want you to do something like this. I want you to speak about your team and what's happening in here and what you deem to be detrimental and how you're going to fix it. Don't just relay the problem. Also relay how you're going to fix the problem. All right, we always leave that part out. We'll complain and, say what's wrong, but no one wants to say what is right and how they're going to get there. We got to do that more in the Black community. So more Black men, because people like to, men especially, will adapt behavior when they see somebody who looks like them doing the same behavior. This is cool. Like I said, he's a light Latino, doing this. I'm not saying Black people can't relate to him. I'm just saying, representation matters. That's why, Black women, Black little girls, say they want to see Black Barbie dolls so they can, be able to relate to them having it all, having a Ken doll, being cute, doing their makeup, doing their hair. Same goes with men. Same goes with little boys. And a lot of men need guidance, even though they have a dad. These dads aren't showing men how to be men anymore. They're allowing TikTok to raise their kids. And again, this is something probably this coach Rich Rodriguez saw TikTok was raising his players for him. He was like, no, this is not going to happen. You know, if TikTok was doing a great job, cool, I'd pass it on to TikTok, but they're not. It's negatively impacting my players. So we got to cut this out. And now I'm going to be the teacher. Now I'm your guidance. Pay attention to me, because I've been through this. He's been a player. He's probably been successful, and now he's a coach. So look at me. TikTok is not going to get you to where you want to be at. It's not going to teach you the ways of the world. It's going to teach you how tough life is. Being cute, dancing around. It doesn't teach you anything. But you can scroll through it. Like you said, you can scroll and look at the stuff, but we're not going to participate in that. We're not going to allow us to be distracted by something we can control, which is our minds, how we think, how we move, how we react. So yeah, it was a deeper message behind this than him just saying, you know, this TikTok dancing is not for this community. It's not the look he wants for the program. It's about what he didn't want men to look like as a whole. We don't want men out here dancing on TikTok and being obsessed with, like I said, views and likes. We want them to be obsessed with progress, be obsessed with bettering themselves, be obsessed with winning in life, not just games, but in life. But that starts here, and then it gets here, and then you're unstoppable. You're untouchable. You're winning so much, it's like, oh, they're going to tell you people are going to want to tell you to slow down, but no, don't. This is what true masculinity looks like. Men who are winners, who are focused, who help others, help themselves. Always focus on growing, learning. Never are complacent. So admirable. So I appreciate this video. If you haven't seen it, guys, TMZ talked about it. Again, this article was on ESPN. You're more than welcome to look it up. Again, this happened on March 11th. It's very fresh. And yeah, look at the way he's talking in the video. Look at the way he's saying things. Like I said, I learned this was very personal for me because, like I said, this is something I struggle with. But you practice every day. You really pay attention, and then it's just going to come naturally. Last thing, you don't have to shame another community of people in order to get your point across. You don't. There's a prime example of that. You don't have to disrespect somebody else in order to gain respect. People think that does something. It does the complete opposite. People frown upon that type of behavior. Now, disrespect can be subjective, but for the most part, you know when you're being disrespectful. You know it, because all you got to do is think, what if somebody else said this to me? How would I feel? If you know you feel a certain way and you're just lying to yourself, it's probably disrespectful. So learn to disagree without being harsh, without being rude. And people are going to respect you for that. Because again, it's a rarity. It's admirable. No matter how much society, mainstream media, or whoever says it's not. It is. And that's why this man, this coach, Rich Rodriguez, got the response from saying what somebody else probably couldn't be able to say. And that's all I gotta say about that. All right, guys, please like this video if you like this video. Please comment always. I love to hear you guys' opinions, and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss the episode. And I will see you guys on the next one. All right, bye.
Aquel día el instinto nos decía que esa noche juntico no quería, que las ganas bebé nos quemaría, pero no fue así. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos a jugar. Ella sabe que quiero a mi mamacita. Ella también quiere que seamos felices. Ella, la que se apresura a la vueltica. Ella es sin timidez. Como la ves no le importa dónde y cuándo. Frenada no es, yo no soy el que la mando. Nunca lo seré, su carácter no es de niña, que la puede controlar cualquiera. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente. Vamos lento y verás. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos no disfrutamos del momento, ya, y lo vamos a arruinar. Dale lento, ya, dile a tus amigas que hoy no vas para afuera, que estás en la escuela y vamos. Los 7 días de la semana te doy de mañana y consejos sabes que no es. Te doy el desquite, que me quites todas esas ganas que te tengo, mujer. Todo el mundo sabe que tú y yo somos más que panas, pero nos vamos lento, que el que se apura no llega a nada, no llega a nada, nada. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente, bebé. Vamos lento y verás. Y me encanta, yo lo sé, independiente, bebé. Vamos lento y verás. Vamos lento, ya, que si nos apuramos